Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Jada Nicole. If this is your first time here, welcome. So I just wanted to come on here and talk to you guys about the current coronavirus pandemic that's happening in the United States and literally all over the world right now. So I just wanted to come on here and give you guys some coping skills and some techniques to utilize in your everyday life to help ease the stress and anxiety that you may have regarding the pandemic as a whole. You who don't know, I am a student getting my graduate degree in mental health counseling. So a lot of our professors are giving us little tips and skills to utilize to reduce the anxiety and stress that we are currently experiencing due to the pandemic. So I wanted to share those tricks, and not tricks but skills, with you guys so you can implement them in your everyday life. So a lot of these skills and techniques are from a therapy called cognitive behavioral therapy. And if you guys see me looking down, I'm looking on my phone because I'm not really big on definitions. I'm more big into the understanding of it, but I want to give you guys the exact definitions and then I'll put it in my own words so it will help you better understand what I'm talking about, okay? So cognitive behavioral therapy is a type of psychotherapy in which negative patterns of thought about the self and the world are challenged in order to alter unwanted behavior patterns or treat mood disorders such as depression. Okay, so a lot of techniques used with cognitive behavioral therapy is altering those negative thoughts that you may have. So example, with this pandemic, a lot of people are worried about the next 2 weeks. They're going to be the worst 2 weeks, and it could be scary, and you could be anxious about even going to the grocery store. So in order to change those negative feelings, you would use cognitive restructuring. So it'd be a way to restructure your thoughts about the whole pandemic as a whole. So I personally utilize this in my everyday life, and I try to implement this with my mom, especially since she's the one who's going grocery shopping and she's out there more than I am. So I know that with her, she is worried about catching like the coronavirus off, like going to the grocery store or touching like the grocery items and stuff. So what I do to restructure her negative thought process during this time is, like, she does go grocery shopping and then sometimes she gets upset that she can't find our usual things that we get for the house. So like there's certain times that she's not able to find soap, like hand soap, and then the other day she found hand soap but it wasn't the one that she wanted. I was like, you should be grateful and happy that you found hand soap at all today. Or like, she'd be upset that she couldn't get a certain type of cream cheese. I'm like, at least we got cream cheese. Like, you have to, instead of weighing in on the negatives at this point in time, you have to think about the positive. So yes, we are quarantined, we're told to stay home or stay 6 feet apart from each other, and that may be extremely hard for your loved ones. And if you're used to just being out and and you really don't like being home, like I'm personally never home, and it's hard to be home all the time, but I think about the people that I'm not infecting if I'm asymptomatic, or I think about all the things I can do now that I actually am home. So I'm decorating my room, I have all this time to do my schoolwork, and there's a lot of things you can implement from home. So everyone's looking at the coronavirus as a negative thing, which it is a very negative thing, but look at the positive. It gives you all this time to work on your craft, be creative, catch up on books. Maybe you want to binge watch a show. Maybe it's giving you time to spend time with loved ones, because I know before all this happened, I was working 2 jobs, and I had my mom, and I went to school, and I have a boyfriend. It was hard juggling all of those at once. So being able to like spend more time with my mom, even though it's under these foreseen circumstances, it has been extremely beneficial. And I'm trying to look at this time as time to reflect and work on me as an individual, so that when it is over, I have bettered myself in this time, instead of complaining about being bored or, you know, being anxious the whole time. Because I feel like when you are anxious, you're not as productive and you can't work on yourself. You're just sitting in this pile of anxiousness. So cognitive restructuring is a way that you can change your views on the quarantine and the staying home, for those of you who may be struggling with that aspect of the pandemic. Okay, so one of the other techniques you can utilize is practice mindfulness. So mindfulness is a part of cognitive behavioral therapy. It is living in the moment. So I know for us New Yorkers, we have been put on lockdown for the next 30 days, so for the whole month of April, and that seems like an extremely long time, since we already been on quarantine and we already been home for already 2 weeks. So now it's like a month and a half, so it's a lot to look at, like in a bulk, like look at the whole picture. But living in the moment would be more so like, okay, today I'm gonna do this. Today I'm only gonna worry about my problems that I have today. Like, don't think about the problems you're gonna have 2 weeks from today. Living in the moment can help alleviate any stress you're having about the whole quarantine and staying at home. It's very important to live in the moment, especially during these times, because the mindfulness is like a meditation. A lot of people meditate and try to be more mindful. It just makes you aware of your senses. So they say that mindfulness can help avoiding coping, and it helps you make better choices. So by making better choices, you know, you're not going to your friend's house because you are lonely, or you're not like having get-togethers in your house. You're making better choices, not only for yourself, your family, but for the whole entire world, because people need to understand that the pandemic and the coronavirus as a whole is a very dangerous virus, and it's evolving each day, as many people could see by the news. And we just want to keep ourselves, our family, and the world safe by making better choices. It can also relieve anxiety by living in the moment, and help you ruminate less. And I will talk about ruminating. That will be another skill that we will go through. But mindfulness is very important. I practice this. I live in the moment. I don't like to worry about problems that we don't even know are gonna come. So you ever heard the saying, I like to say that don't cry over milk that hasn't spilled yet. Like, I'm not about to cry anticipating milk is gonna spill. No, that makes no sense. We should live in the moment and, you know, do things in the moment that can help you alleviate any anxiety that you currently are having. Okay, so rumination is basically you're harboring and you're constantly thinking about negative thoughts. And this can be in this environment, like always watching the news and always looking at the numbers and seeing how many people are projected to die from this. Or like my friend told me, like in this one part of New York, they have like 18 feet trucks or something like that. That's like a makeshift morgue. And just not like ruminating on these ideas or numbers, because it isn't beneficial to your anxiety. It actually will heighten your anxiety. So just people say, like, watch the news twice a day. Don't watch it all day. Don't keep it on. I know a lot of people want to be informed, but during this time it's only going to make you more anxious. So I personally don't ever watch the news. I don't like feeling anxious, so I just get all my news from my mother, who I'm lucky she does watch the news, but I don't let her watch the news all day either. She'll watch when Cuomo comes on, the New York governor, and that's about it. Like, she doesn't sit at the TV all the time watching the news, because that does not help. You're ruminating on the virus and the pandemic, and it's only going to make your anxiety worse. So that's something you can implement. Like, just watch the news morning and night, and it should help lessen your anxious feelings and any anxiety you are currently experiencing. Okay, so also recognizing distorted thoughts, which also goes with rumination. So like you may have distorted thoughts like, oh my god, the whole world's gonna die. Or if you watch Containment on Netflix, oh my gosh, their virus was almost just the same as the coronavirus, and look how many people died and how they handled it. Like those are some distorted thoughts that you may have, and a lot of people are gonna have them during this time because they're not looking for the positives in the pandemic, and it's easier to have these negative thoughts and not challenge them, these distorted thoughts. But by challenging them and then using the cognitive restructuring that we talked about earlier in the video can allow you to work through those thoughts and put positive thoughts in place of that. So if you saw Containment on Netflix, it's basically about a virus that was spread in Atlanta, but this Containment was shot in 2016. So you may come to the conclusion like, oh, people like the government created this and put it out here, and those are some distorted thoughts, and you are never gonna know if that actually happened. But from what they tell us on the news is that it came from, I think, a bat in China. So like distorted thoughts, you take those distorted thoughts and you apply logic and reason to it. So I'm not gonna be like, oh my god, the government did this, when they already know where the source of the coronavirus came from. Another distorted thought is that we're going, like, everyone's gonna die from the coronavirus. Everyone's gonna die from the coronavirus. So if you look into it, apply logic and reason, most governments, state governments and the federal government in the United States are taking precautions so that that doesn't happen, and that they minimize the amount of people who are going to contract the virus. So those are ways you can distort your negative thoughts, and that would also be called cognitive restructuring. I think it's very important because I feel like a lot of people are having negative thoughts about the coronavirus, and I feel like if you apply logic and reason to it, it won't seem as bad as the media, like social media, makes it seem, or because there's a lot of propaganda and false news on social media, and it's very hard to know what's true and what's false. So that's why you must do your due diligence and do your research, or only follow the news from like a reputable source like CNN and stuff like that. And if you don't have, like a lot of people I know don't have cable, you can also like follow CNN on Twitter, or like whatever your state government is on Twitter and stuff like that, so that you are still getting accurate facts, but you're not like watching the news, and you could sift through the information easier. So I feel like that's very important. And the last thing I want to talk about today is to talk kindly about yourself when you make mistakes. No one has lived through a time like this. I haven't, my mother hasn't, my grandmother hasn't, so it's new for everyone. So we're gonna make mistakes, and we just have to learn from them. So like a mistake that you can make, or that I possibly can make, is going outside for unnecessary things. So I usually don't go outside at all for nothing, unless there's a necessity that I need currently. I do not go outside. I don't risk it. I don't risk my health, my mother's health, or anyone else's health. So like if I say like I have a boyfriend and I haven't seen him for 4 weeks now because I want to away on vacation, so risking it would be like, oh my gosh, let me go to his house, and like I may not have the coronavirus, they could have it, God forbid. I don't think anyone has it. So but like risking like their lives or my life or my mom's life, it would be like, granted, like I miss him, so therefore I might go to his house, but I shouldn't beat myself up that I did go. Or like I'm craving a pizza, so I go to the pizzeria not knowing if any of them been out the country and stuff. Like, we're gonna make mistakes during this pandemic, but it's our job to learn from them and not beat ourselves up for it, because a lot of people are beating themselves up. I know this one friend, she does have a lot of anxious feelings about the pandemic, and she beats herself up by not going to the grocery store because she does have all these negative thoughts about the grocery store and just the coronavirus as a whole. it's okay to have these feelings. She is ruminating in these feelings, and I feel like once she applies the coping strategies that we talk about, she'll be better able to go to the grocery store. But it's okay for her to have these negative feelings. It's okay for all of us to have anxious, negative, be stressed out, all these negative feelings that we're having about the pandemic. It is okay to have. No one has ever lived through a time like this. So we're all learning, and I feel like if we make mistakes during this pandemic, they are a learning lesson, and I feel like don't beat yourself up about it, because it's only gonna make the situation worse. So that's all I wanted to come on here and say. Try not to watch the news a lot. I know that can be very hard because you want to have all the information, but don't watch the news a lot. It's gonna make you feel more anxious and stuff like that, and you don't want to feel more anxious, especially since there is a lot going on, and you know, you got to be strong. My professor did tell us, and I'm going to relay this to you, that we are resilient. We are going to get through this, and it may seem hard now, but by being mindful and living in the moment, we're going to get through this. And just do a lot of self-care. Self-care is very important to get through this time. So self-care would be like, my personal self-care would be like watching Netflix, laying in bed, doing my makeup, which I like to do. I like to also, what do I like to do? Those are usually, but people are reading books, they're playing in their backyard, going for a walk. Make sure you stay 6 feet apart from anybody else, and just take the precautions that they're giving us seriously, and do implement them in your everyday life. If you do go outside 6 feet apart, try to wear a protective mask and gloves, wash your hands, use hand sanitizer and all that stuff. And we as a country, a community, we are going to get through this. I only try to exude positivity, and I tell my mom, like, you know, she's like worried that like someone in our family is gonna catch it. I'm like, I am positive enough for all of us. I don't think any of us is gonna catch it. I speak it into existence. And I think that's all you can do at this point in time. We don't have control over a lot of things, but we do have control over ourselves. So I hope this brings comfort to you, and I hope that it helps you through this very scary time that we're all going through and living through together. If you have any questions, if you want me to give you resources on people that you could talk to, there's a lot of counselors offering their services for free through telehealth. If you need anything, I'm here. You could drop down in the comments below. You can DM me on Instagram. I'll be more than happy to help, because I don't want anyone to go through this pandemic alone, and I just want to help. So thank you for listening. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in my next video.